Alright, so this is a video tutorial for VCP 218 for the first assignment, making a primitive animal. Doesn't mean primitive, I mean primitive using primitives. So I'm just going to get right to it so we can hurry up and get this done. So basically, first thing you need to do before you start any project is to make a new project folder. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go File, Project Window, and we're going to hit New, and we're going to call this last name. Always do your last name first, and then we'll just call it primitive animal. Okay, that way we know what it is. And then location, I'm at this little folder, and I'm gonna put it right to the desktop. That way it's right on the desktop, I know where it is, and then you can put it right onto your thumb drive afterwards. It's a lot easier that way. And then we'll hit accept. Now automatically that's gonna make a folder on the desktop for you. Now let's go ahead and start making this thing. Okay, so most of the shapes you're going to be using is probably going to be some sort of sphere. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this to go here. So I'm going to go ahead and make a sphere, and that looks like an okay sphere. So I need it to run around the body of the animal. I'm just going to do a dog because that's like the simplest thing. Most animals are somewhat the same shape. So I'm going to move it up, and then I'm going to rotate it this way. Okay, so that it is, come on, there. So it's this way, so that way it runs, you can see how this way now the lines flow with the body. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to right click, go to vertices, I'm going to grab this one vertex here, okay, then hold B to soft select, so I built B down and I click and drag, and that will adjust the fall off. Okay, so I'm going to take, and we'll go like this, and I'm going to use the move tool, W, I'm going to pull it up and over, and I'm looking at that, and I think I should grab more, so I'm going to grab a little more here. Okay, it's a little better, and I'm going to kind of do the same thing here. I'm going to grab that one, kind of pull it up and over, and that looks okay. I'm going to adjust this general shape, so I right click, went to object mode, and I'm going to scale it a little bit thinner. Okay, and that looks adequate. I'm going to grab a vertex here and grab one here, so the one on the other side. And then I'm just going to scale this, let's make it a little bit bigger here, just so that I have shoulders to work with. Alright, so one of the things I'm going to do in order to do both sides at the same is I'm actually going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to hit the tool settings over here. Oops, not this one, sorry, this one. The one with the hammer and looks like nails next to it. And I'm going to go down here to where it says symmetry settings, and I'm going to turn symmetry onto object X, okay? It's object X because if you look at my axes down here, you can see the blue, the Z axis is running this way, and the X is running this way. And I want what I do on this side to happen on that side, and now I only really need to affect the one side, and that makes things just a little bit easier. So I'm just going to kind of pull that out. I'm going to do kind of a similar thing here, make this a little bit bigger, give this duck some buttocks. I'm going to grab the end here, okay, and I'm going to take this down a little bit because it's a little bit pointy, and just kind of make that a little more abrupt. Okay, and let's see, we're going to call that good for right now. Okay, next what I'm going to do is I need to make a head. So a head, again, I'm just going to take another sphere. Now if you notice that for some reason your sphere looks not that great, like let's say it looks like this. Basically that it has less geometry, and so it might be harder to get a smoother shape. So if that's the case, just go up to create, polygon primitives, go to sphere, hit the option box, and just change this number to something higher. Like the default I think is 20, so that's fine. But you can make this higher if you need to too, and then you'll see there's much more geometry to work with now. So I'm gonna do the same thing I did before. I'm gonna hit E, and I'm gonna hold J, and I'm gonna rotate this, all right, to make it go that way. Let's scale this down, all right, and then I'm gonna go to vertices. I'm gonna select this one, gonna make it much bigger. All right, I'm gonna pull it down. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. That's a little more than what I wanted. There we go. All right. And I'm also going to rotate it to make it more dog-like. It's going to be somewhat of a cartoony dog, I think. At least that's the way it looks right now. And we're going to call that good for right now. A lot of this is going to need to be adjusted, but make this a little bit smaller. But for now, this should probably be okay. I'm just trying to get the pieces in there. Arms and legs are typically, you're going to see, will be cylinders, right? So now if you make just a normal cylinder, if you just hit the button cylinder here, you're going to see that it's going to be, it's enough geometry this way, but there's not that much up this way. If I try to bend this, it's not going to rotate well. There's nothing really to bend, right? So what I'm going to do instead is go to create polygon primitives, go to cylinder, hit the option box, and we have 20 for that, which is fine. But let's do the height divisions. Let's do 20 for that as well. And now I'll hit create. And subsequently, like let's say if I delete this one, every one I make from now on is going to have that same setting. So that's kind of nice. So I'm going to scale this in a little bit. Okay. And oops, let's see. Bring this up to where the arm is. I'm only going to work on the one side for now because really the other side would pretty much just be the same thing. We're just going to duplicate it and make it the other side. So I'm going to go to vertices. I'm going to click and drag this chunk here. And I am going to, let's see. Yeah, it's fine. We'll scale it like that. And I'm going to bring it up and over. And I'm going to rotate it like this. All right. And then I'm going to take the soft selection down a bunch. And I'm going to bring it up and over a little bit more. And then I'm actually going to scale it down so that it's a little nicer looking. Go into object mode. I'm going to pull this back and over. Okay. Now I get that nice kind of scapula thing. Won't be a bit much. I'm going to go to edges. I'm going to double click this. And I'm just going to kind of pull this B soft select. Let me get a little bit stronger. Pull this back a little. Now I'm going to double click on this edge loop. And I'm going to move this back and over. And I'm going to rotate it a little bit this way. All right. Let's take this one. Pull this up and over. Okay. And now I'm going to go back to vertices. So I just right click and hold. Make the soft select a little bit longer, and I'm going to hit R. And what I want to do is I want to thin it up because that's too thick. So I'm just going to grab this one. Oops. Apparently I grabbed the wrong one. Now because I have symmetry, it's actually not going to act. See how it's acting weird? It's not what I want. It's kind of a neat thing. But so I'm going to turn symmetry off for this. So I'm going to turn off. Go into the settings. Again, it's just this button up here. And a lot of times you have to reselect it. So I'm just going to reselect it. Now I'm going to try that again, and it should work. Okay, good. So now I'm going to thin that up a little bit. I'm going to bring it down and over. All right. And that is a terrible looking leg. So I'm going to duplicate that because it's so terrible looking I want to use it twice. And I'm going to just make this a little bit bigger. Shrink it back down a little. All right. There we go. What am I at? 822. Okay. So I'm going to take this chunk here, turn off soft select, actually just make it really weak. And I'm going to rotate this to make the paw. Okay. And I'm going to scale it wider. Okay. And I'm just going to grab one piece here. Okay. And I'm just going to kind of pull that back. Okay, I'm just going to pull this up a little. Make this a little bit bigger. Okay. Now let's we're going to call that good for that. It needs a tail, so I'm just going to make another cylinder. I'm going to bring it up and over. I'll rotate it this way. I'm going to scale it on these two axes at the same time. Okay. Just scale it like that. Scale it wider. I'm going to grab this vertice here. Make it all the way. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it bigger. Come on. Bigger. Because the tail gets a little bit smaller as it goes. There we go. And then I'll grab this vertice. And I'm going to do kind of the opposite. Make it get a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to turn off soft select. I'm just going to pull this out a little bit. Okay, I'll expand my selection by hitting Shift and the greater than symbol. And I'm going to scale this down. so that it comes more to a point. Okay, and then I'm just going to right click, go to object mode, and I'm going to move this up and over. And then I'm just going to go like this. I'm going to grab this chunk here, and if I hold shift and the greater than symbol, I can affect this somewhat. So I'm going to hold B so that it's a smooth transition. I'm going to hit E to rotate. Move this kind of down like this. I'm going to retract my selection by holding shift and the less than symbol. Okay, and I'm going to rotate it in the opposite way and pull up and over. I'm going to retract a little bit more, and we're going to rotate it a little bit more, and that looks terrible. But imagine I did a good job. I would spend a lot more time on this than what I'm spending right now. Okay. All right, so right here. I expect your guys to actually look a bit better than this. I'm just trying to do this fast. I'm going to rotate this a little more. Okay, like that. All right. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take, I didn't make the paw for this side. Okay, we're going to make that real quick. We're going to rotate W. Okay, it's good enough for me for now. I'm going to take both of these, and I'm going to command D to duplicate them. I'm going to drag them to the other side. I'm just going to eyeball it for now, and we're going to call that okay. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the entire thing all together, and I'm going to combine it. So I'm going to go to Mesh, and oh, you know what? It doesn't have ears. It needs ears. Hang on a second. I'm just going to use a sphere. So I'll pull this up and over. Now he's got a fro. And I'm going to hold J to do increment. Okay, and scale this down a whole ton. All right, and scale this up. It's going to look like Odie apparently. Pull this up and over, rotate it. Okay, like so. Vertices, I'm going to grab this center one, a little bit bigger, and I'll push that in. Good enough for now. Okay, I'll command D, and I'm just going to put it on the other side here. And we'll just, okay, great. All right, now I'm going to take the whole thing, and I'm going to go ahead and do Mesh, Combine. And that's going to combine it as one mesh. Now when I go to grab it, you can see it acts as though it's one piece, okay? So from there, I'm actually going to switch to the Sculpting Tool set, and this allows you to sculpt on it. So I'm going to grab this one, which is the grab tool, and it lets you grab it. So I'm going to hold B, click, and you can see like a line comes. I'm holding B this whole time, but I keep dragging to the left because technically this is actually very small. See, when I grab it now, it's small enough. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this to try and shape this a little bit more looking like a dog as much as possible. Okay. Another thing I need to do actually is go to, where are you? Here you go. Mirror, and we're going to do Object X. That way I'll do the same on the one side as it does on the other. So I'm just going to kind of try to adjust the shape a little bit to try and make this look a little more dog-like. Usually their chest comes out a bit more. Right, and then this head needs to kind of come up. Hold B to make this smaller. Right, so it's a little more like that. Okay, and make this a little bit bigger. Alright, and then the back waist part here should be a little bit thinner. Alright, so. Alright, that looks okay as far as that's concerned for now. Now I'm just going to go ahead and bring that tool back up again, and this time I'm going to grab on the arm here and try to get this to be looking a little bit better. So a lot of times the shoulders actually kind of go inwards a little bit, or the elbows. And we'll kind of pull this up, make this a little bit smaller. Alright, something like that. Feels a bit strong for the area there. Okay, make this a bit bigger. And I'm going to kind of try and make this knee, if you will, is way too high for this. I'm actually going to try and pull this down and square this out a little bit. Okay, and we're going to pull this in so it kind of bleeds into the body a little bit more. Alright, and okay. Alright, we'll pull that down. Okay. Now let's see if we can adjust this, make the snout a little more square on the end here.